Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will start this meeting. I'll make one quick announcement. George is out of town, so I am filling in for him tonight. And at this time, we'll have the general manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Nope.
No. Testing.
Oh, so much for that report.
Can you hear me now? There we go. All right. Good evening, everybody. As you can see, Jeremy's not here tonight with us, so I will be going over the general manager's report. We had 2 member questions from the November open session. The first question, 2 members questioned the increase in fees for the RV storage facility. And those are very good questions. When the board of directors begins the budgeting process, they look into every possible way to hold the monthly assessment as low as possible. This year, in review of the association's ancillary income, which is golf, food and beverage, trips, shows, excursions, they believed it was in the best interest of the whole community to moderately increase some of the fees. You see, every dollar received by the association that's not assessment income helps offset the costs of the entire community through their monthly assessments. Over the course of the last few years, ancillary activity fees have been incrementally increased to assist in the overall well-being of the community. 2016 just happened to be the year that the RV lot was impacted. The second question, a member questioned how the solar generating facility ballots were tabulated. The solar balloting was conducted by a third-party vendor, and in the very same way that the normal annual election of the board of directors is handled, through the extrapolation process. You'll notice that there have been a few rule changes that are being posted, and those rule changes, just so everybody knows, when they are in process and being posted for 30-day notice, they will be in your lifestyles. So in the November and December lifestyles, there were a few of those changes posted, and you can also find those changes on our website. So just a little bit information on that. Also in the lifestyles, you'll notice that for the last 3 months, there has been a coffee with the executive general manager. And so Jeremy is hosting a monthly meeting with members called Coffee with the GM, where residents can ask questions or find out more information on certain topics. The next Coffee with the GM is scheduled for Friday, February 19th at 9 a.m. in the main clubhouse multipurpose room. And the topic is going to be about the legal foundation of the association. And so we hope to see you there. There is a sign-up sheet at the front receptionist desk, so if that's something that you're interested in, or if you have questions that you'd like to talk to Jeremy about, please go to that meeting, have some coffee, and enjoy the time with him. Also, the annual meeting or election is right around the corner, and we'd like to let everybody know that the candidacy forms for the master board, the district delegates, and the alternate delegates can be picked up in the administration office starting on February 5th at 8 a.m., and they need to be completed and returned no later than 5 p.m. on Wednesday, February 24th. Bear with me here. And lastly, the 2016 age survey is going to be taking place this year. We do that age survey on the even years, so this is the year. The association will be conducting this age survey in 2016. The forms and the documents will be in your February lifestyles. So when you receive your February lifestyles, you'll notice an insert. It'll have a cover page with the instructions, as well as 2 copies of the age survey itself. Each homeowner, we ask that each homeowner fill out their own form, and they can be turned into the administration office, and they can also be turned into the main clubhouse receptionist. We need to attain 80% to be able to keep our 55 and older senior community qualification. We need to have 80% of the community respond to this, and so we really ask that each homeowner take it seriously and turn their form in when they receive it. And lastly, for the sake of time, we'll give you the most, The GM report is quite lengthy, but for the sake of time, I wanted to let everybody know that the full GM report is available on the website, Sun Lakes, the Sun Lakes website, and that is www.sunlakescc.com, and that will conclude the general manager's report.
Thank you. Looking out into the audience, I do not see the, wait a minute, do we have a report for the executive session?
We do.
All right.
The report on the executive session actions. And if you would all bear with me, please, because we did not have a meeting in December. So this is 3 executive session worths of detail. The Board of Directors at an executive session board meeting on had an executive session board meeting on December 3rd, 2015 at 1:30 p.m., January 7th, 2016 at 1:30 p.m., and January 21st, 2016 at 1:30 p.m. At these meetings, litigation, member discipline, formation of contracts, and personnel matters were discussed. The following are action items that the board took at these meetings. The board awarded the audit and tax preparation services to Vanderpoel and Company for a fee not to exceed $9,500. The board held a show cause hearing for delinquent assessments and voted to suspend privileges of that owner. The board voted to send 5 delinquent member assessment accounts to the association's collection attorney in efforts to collect past due assessments. The board awarded the Inspector of Election Services for the annual meeting of the membership to a company called Inspector of Elections for an estimated cost of $13,026.19. There were 2 requests for parking variances, which after careful consideration, the board denied both requests. The board approved the renewal of the entertainment contract to a Touch of Class musical agency for the 2016 entertainment scheduling in the lounge. The board ratified the emergency replacement of the main clubhouse boiler for $15,600. The board ratified the emergency replacement of the chemical controller at the main clubhouse spa for $3,982. In the reserves this year, there are a few items that were scheduled for the repair and replacement at the North Clubhouse. With that being said, the board approved the replacement of the cabinets, countertops, and appliances at the North Clubhouse kitchen using American Eagle as the vendor for $27,900. That will include custom stained cabinets, granite countertops, and stainless steel appliances. Along with that, the carpeting in the North Clubhouse hallway will be replaced with New Horizon carpets for $4,880. Next, the interior blinds will be replaced through American Eagle for $4,220. Finally, the board approved the interior of the North Clubhouse to be painted with American Eagle as the vendor for $7,525. These are items that are currently being scheduled with the Recreation Department and will most likely start sometime in March. In the reserve, the wrought iron painting was due to be completed. The board reviewed the proposals and selected American Eagle to complete the work for a cost of $45,577. This includes all of the wrought iron throughout the property, including Sun Lakes Boulevard, all gates, District 18 and 19, North Clubhouse parking lot, and the Edison easement, just to name a few examples. The North Clubhouse outdoor shower at the pool was due to be replaced through the reserves, and after reviewing the 3 proposals, the board approved the low bidder, American Eagle, for $8,950. The fountains on the executive course at holes 7 and 8 were due for replacement in the reserves. The board reviewed 3 proposals and approved Steve Walters to complete the work at $9,576. The board reviewed a personal money judgment for a delinquent member who had moved out of state. After careful consideration, the board voted to close the books on the account and take no further action. The board reviewed a request from a homeowner to settle their delinquent assessments account. After careful consideration, the board accepted the settlement. Just a few more, sorry. The board discussed other options for a solar project within Sun Lakes Country Club. The board discussed the legal disposition of the surplus funds. The board reviewed the engineer proposals for the 2016 pavement rehabilitation project. The board reviewed the proposals for the engineering and selected AEC at a cost of $6,220 to create the plans and the specifications for the street rehab. And finally, the board held 2-member show cause disciplinary hearings. That will conclude the executive session actions.
Thank you, Charlie. As you can see, when we don't have a meeting in in December, it carries over and there's a lot of activity. This is the beginning of the year, and therefore there's a lot of projects that have been held in the past, hoping to get done in 2016. That most of them are part of the reserve study, and so we have to take care of those as they come up. Thank you. As I started to say earlier, I was looking out. I don't see a representative from the city of Banning here this evening, but I do have Karen Clavel out there who would like to say a couple of words before we move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Karen Clavlo, and I'm speaking tonight as a member of the San Gorgonio Memorial Hospital Foundation Board. And I'd like to call your attention to 3 events that are going to happen in this month and next month. On Wednesday, the 27th of January, there's going to be a town hall meeting here in Sun Lakes. I'm going to tell you who's going to be there. I'm sure there'll be a question and answer center part of the evening. So if you have any questions, bring them there that night. Mark Turner, CEO of the San Gorgonio Hospital, Carrie Heinrich, who is CEO of Loma Linda University Medical Center, Peter Baker, who is Assistant VP of Managed Care, Business Development, Dr. Geraldine Keibel, who is Chair of the San Gorgonio Hospital Board of Directors, and Lynn Baldy, who is Chair of the San Gorgonio Memorial Hospital District Board. So everybody will be well represented, and be sure to bring your questions, and you can hear all the details of the affiliation that's going to go on. The second item, I left some flyers in the back of the room. This is a very important event, and I invite you all to come. On February 11th, on a Thursday, from 5 to 7, there's going to be a pass area joint chamber mixer at the hospital. There's going to be many chambers there. Let me tell you who's going to be there. Banning Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, the Beaumont Chamber, Calamasa Chamber, Cherry Valley, and Yucaipa Chamber. So it's going to be well represented here in the pass area. There's going to be a virtual tour of the new patient care building that will be erected, and there'll be refreshments. We all like those. Raffle prizes, and it will be a ribbon cutting for the campaign, Capital Fund campaign. The third one is, I'm sure some of you have gotten some invitations. There's a Fire and Ice event at Morongo. This is our 32nd annual dinner. And the most important thing is the perfect partner that's been selected has been the Sun Lakes Charitable Trust. So we're very honored to be represented there. It should be a lively dinner with Fire and Ice theme. We're going to have fire dancers. There's going to be ice carvings. When they open the doors to the ballroom, it's really going to be spectacular. So we invite you all to come and be part of all these events. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for that brief report. Which report or which event? Fire and Ice is the 20th. Fire and Ice is the 20th of February. Morongo. No, 6:30.
6:30, and there's too many events. And it's going to be here in the ballroom right at 6:30, and all the people will be here. So bring your questions.
Okay, sub-association reports. Lakeside?
I'm Kurt Tibbetts from Lakeside. We're getting off to a new start this year. Biggest project we have coming up is the a drip system going in for all of our common area. We saved quite a bit of money on water last year just by reducing the hours, the minutes that we water. This should reduce our consumption even more. That's the main thing we have going right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Lakeside 2? No report. All right. Fairway Villas? Thank you, Rich. Delegate Assembly report. Joe? Joe, why don't you leave that down when you get done with it? No, just the microphone itself.
Okay.
And then just lay it there, then it's easier for everybody to get to. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President and members of the Board of Directors, our delegate meeting of last Thursday had a number of items on the agenda. We began with the administration giving us the board-approved, the Board of Directors award each year $100. That is 4 $25 gift certificates to each district. And they are to be used in raffles or 50-50 or what have you for the benefit of the residents of your district. And so each district gets 4 of them, totaling $100, and they are to use them very judiciously. The next item on the agenda, there was a review of setting up a bank account in each district. Each district should actually use a checking account rather than handling cash, and it makes for a better control of the district funds. Next on the agenda was the election schedule. This year, as every other year, every district delegate and alternate delegate are up for election. So there is no district delegate or alternate delegate that just perpetuates each year. Each position is up every 2 years. The Board of Directors are every year, okay? So if there are anybody interested in your district, please go to the administration and get the filing papers. It is important that you file them on time. And I know of a few districts that will need someone to replace the existing district delegate or the alternate. And so if you have any questions, please give me a call. I'd be very happy to help you along the line or give you some information. Finally, our general manager, our assistant general manager, mentioned the age survey verification. I want to emphasize how important it is for our complex. It is a state-mandated survey that is done every 2 years. And if we don't reach an 80% reply to the state, there is a danger of losing our senior level at our complex, meaning that anyone could move in. So when you get the survey, please fill it out and file it. Last year or 2 years ago, we had a number of residents saying, oh, I'm not interested. No, I never give anybody any information and what have you. Why did you move into our complex if you weren't interested in keeping it as a senior complex and maintaining the position that we have? So I urge you, in any conversation you have with your neighbors, with your friends, that every one of us file the survey report when we get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Committee reports. Finance?
No additional report.
Thank you. Golf Advisory Committee?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Dixon, and I am the 2016 chairman of the GAC. I wanted to introduce myself so you would recognize me and feel comfortable in approaching me if you have any issues that the GAC is responsible for, and I would be glad to assist you. I've gotten my feet wet. We've had one meeting, and I'm looking forward to working with all the people on our committee. We're going to be proactive, making decisions and providing information to our community which will benefit our course conditions and playability and enhance the golfing experience. It's going to be a great year. Finally, I feel compelled to comment about a comment in the Lifestyles magazine about the district delegates. They had a comment about the GAC. I'm here to assure you all that we know how valuable the executive course is and how valuable the championship course is. All our actions will be equitable and will reflect our responsibility to both courses. Thank you.
Thank you. Library Advisory Committee.
Hello, I never miss an opportunity to say hello and to invite all of you to the library to get a good book to relax with and enjoy your life here at Sun Lakes. Just so you guys all know, the library committee has the entire committee has extended their stay for another year because they like doing this job for you. So if you guys run across any of them, be sure to thank them for staying on. As you heard in the general manager's report, they're going to be remodeling the North Clubhouse. What you didn't hear was that during the remodel period, the library will be closed. And what you also didn't hear was, guess how many of the books that are on the shelves have to be moved? You're right, all of them. Okay, so right now, the library committee is going to be working with PCM to come up with a plan to be able to move the books so that we can get the walls painted and everything will look bright and fresh again. So that'll be quite an ordeal for a little while. And I just wanted to mention again, if you run into any of the volunteers who are keeping your shelves neat and keeping the books ready for you to check out and enjoy, be sure to walk up to them and thank them for their hard work. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Russ. Just a note, I believe it's the first 2 weeks in March that library will be closed.
Yeah, what we were looking at is February 29th through March 14th with a grand reopening on March 15th.
So I missed
be
it by
sure
a day.
everybody line up on the 15th to check out a book, okay?
Okay, Lifestyles.
And I believe I heard there'll be free cookies at the grand opening. Anyway, I'm Charlene Fink with the famous Lifestyles magazine. Praise, praise. Anyway, I'm here to review with you a few things about the classified ads because I've been getting a few phone calls. And the classified ads are free to homeowners, and you get 2 free ads per month of 40 words each, or 1 ad of 80 words each. And we don't want businesses or for-profit ventures. That goes into the paid advertisement. And if you know anybody that wants to do a paid advertisement, I get phone calls about that also. They're to phone our editor, Courtney Taylor, and the phone number and all this information can be found in the back pages of the Lifestyles. So also, no personal ads. We're not in the dating eHarmony business, or I need a friend. And please submit all your articles, and you've been doing a great job. We really love all the articles from the clubs and organizations by noon on the 6th day of the month. And I know it's hard to remember which month we're in for the following month. It gets very confusing, but you're all doing a great job. Hooray, hooray. Thank you.
Thank you. Maintenance and Landscape? No report. Marketing Advisory Committee? No report. Master Architectural Committee? No report. Recreation Advisory Committee?
Good evening. I'm Joyce White from the Recreation Advisory Committee, and I just want to open my statements by thanking the board for approving our 2016 event calendar. And I also want to thank John and Kevin, our liaison people for the year of 2015. They are very welcome, and they both did an excellent job. And I'd like to thank the community, because you are the ones that made all of our events and our activities and our excursions move very well and worthwhile for us in 2015. We recently had our Activities Day. I'm sure many of you attended. It was one of the best activities event that we have had. We were extremely pleased with the new people from this community that attended. There was a tremendous amount of interest in all the clubs and all the groups. And we had 2 advisory committees who did attend, the Marketing Committee and the Maintenance and Landscaping Committee. And I think committees should get involved with their people at these meetings, because it gives you a perfect opportunity for people to see what we all volunteer for in this community. Our new events coming for this year were Elvis and our O Canada show, and I think they're both sold out. We have some excursions, and there may be some openings, but you can check with the receptionist. We're hoping that our 2016 calendar is going to be something worthwhile that you will all enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. In regards to the activity committee or activities day, there were a ton of people who had just moved here, and I talked to a couple that had moved in October and November, and I thought that was amazing that they were already here. Then I talked to another couple who had just closed on Monday, hadn't even moved in yet, and they were up here with a handful of signs or documents, and they emptied their checkbook filling out the applications, so it was a great day. RV storage? No report. Restaurant and lounge? Nope. Safety and security? Nothing to report. Thank you. Bingo? No report. Okay. On that note, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as stated.
I can't, your mic isn't on.
It is. Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda. Can you hear me back there? Okay.
Second, did that come through?
No.
I was trying it. Yep. I can't use it here. Second.
There we go. All right. We have a motion and a second? All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Just to let you know, a lot of the consent agenda had to do with the committees that we've just heard information from. In District 1, we had the resignation of Bert Appel as a district delegate, and the appointment of Alan Seskar as alternate district or delegate for District 2. Is he here? Thank you. For the Master Architectural Committee, we had the reappointment of Bill McDade, Rich Messick, and Luther Brooks. We have a couple of those out there. All right, thank you. For the Maintenance and Landscape Advisory Committee, this is an interesting committee. I'm going to take a couple of seconds here just to talk about this committee, because people have they don't understand the committee, let's just put it that way. The Maintenance and Landscape Committee is a committee that takes care of the common grounds of Sun Lakes, just as a reporting function back to Mark Schleiden in operations, to look through the clubhouses and the common areas to see what things need to be taken care of. Not homeowner area, not the golf course, just the common area. People think it's the architectural committee. It's not. It's the maintenance and landscape. And for that reason, people have a tendency to shy away from the committee. We now have a full committee. We have 5 people, so I'm very happy to announce the appointment of Doug Deans, Nita Cook, and Linda Spalding to that committee. None of them. Thank you. Safety and security, we have Ruth Madden, Patricia Bowen, Robert Pochatti, and John Andrews. Not here either. Okay. And to the Finance Committee, we have Wes Andrews. Oh, excuse me, Wes McDaniel. Where did Andrews come? There he is, way in the back. Thank you, Wes. All right, what else did we talk about, or do we do? We approved approved for publication a proposed change to the architectural standards for string and rope lighting standards. We approved for publication and member comment a proposed change to the architectural standards relating to the use of artificial plants on the exterior of homes. We approved a rule change 15-12 that pertains to RV storage rules. We approved rule change 15-13 that pertains to garage doors. And we approved a rule change 15-14 that pertains to artificial turf. So that was what you just... Yes? We don't comment about that?
Oh, I thought you comment on agenda items as they come up.
Not the consent agenda, it's all done. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to old business. First item is to review, discuss, and act upon the proposal for a wrought iron fence outside of Gate 3.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
You want me to explain what that is? I can see the puzzlement on the spectators.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes, let me explain it first, and then we'll get into the conversation about it. Thank you. What this is this proposal to put a small wrought iron fence leading on the exit from Gate 3. You go through Gate 3, it would be along the sidewalk on the right side down to Sun Lakes Boulevard, so that vehicles would not exit Gate 3 and then turn right onto the common area. If they wanted to go down there, they would have to go down to Sun Lakes Boulevard, which is another, whatever it is, 60 feet or 50 feet. Wherefore, we wouldn't have vehicles driving in that area where we've got a lot of sprinkler system and irrigation systems. Yes. Don't forget, I'm just reminding everybody that when you come in, we need you to go to the podium because we are broadcasting this, and if you talk from your chair, the people at home can't hear it on TV, even though they may have a problem anyway, but at least this is better.
Okay, I have a question on the approved for publication and member comment for G and H.
No, wait, we're not on that. We've moved on.
You passed that, and I
Yes.
raised my hand. What does that mean? Publication where?
We will print, we have the change, and we will print it, and we will post it in all of the normal spots that we post documents and
lifestyles
changes,
as well.
and in lifestyles, and then we will come back in the future after getting all those comments and make a proposal to do or do not do that effort. So it's just a proposal to print it. Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry, I should have clarified that in the beginning. Any comments in regards to the wrought iron fence?
4 feet.
4 feet?
Yep.
Not going to be a real high one. We talked about doing it shorter, I believe, but the shorter just seemed to be more of an accident waiting to happen than if it was just a couple of feet, somebody would just trip over it. So if you got a little higher, people would run into it as opposed to trip over it. Correct, just that short distance. Okay, we have a motion and a second? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item B, review, discuss, and act upon proposed establishment of Sun Lakers Care Group, now with received legal opinion on the subject.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Okay, and we are... Go ahead, John.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The reason for at least two of us voting or indicating that we're against it is opinions that we've received both from our attorney and our insurance company, and they say that the liability there's significant potential for liability on the part of the association, and they recommend that the association do not be, I guess you might say, legally linked to the group, because people will be going into homes, people will be driving people, and that's not a liability that the association wants to take on.
I'll add to that. The insurance, one of the quotes from the insurance agent said that the name Sun Lakes Care suggests that the HOA is involved in the care of the individuals that are receiving the services. Therefore, if any bodily injury or property damages should occur as a result of the services rendered, the HOA could have added liability. And it goes on to address a number of issues, such as if somebody has to get on a ladder and they fall off the ladder, and then the association is responsible for that. What if somebody comes in and they steal from that person, then the association is liable. And as a matter of record, we have had that kind of situation within the association before of people, fraud. In fact, we had a case that was on ABC TV a couple of years back. So bottom line is, while the board feels and understands the care and interest of taking care of our families and our friends here in the association cannot have its bona fides as part of the corporation as being the sponsor of this group. And that's the reason for the denial, at least from my
What
part.
we would be referred to as the deep pockets that the lawyers look forward to. Yeah.
Any comments from the audience? Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. New business, okay. Review, discuss, and act upon a request from EPAP for the purchase of 2 additional...
No. You went ahead. Ice machine.
Boy, thank you. I put my note on 4C instead of 4B. Excuse me. All right. Review and discuss and act upon a proposal to install an ice machine at the crossroads on the championship course. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we're holes 7 and 8, and 12 and 13 cross. There is a restroom and a drinking fountain, and there's a request now to put an ice machine there.
I would like to second that, because if the ladies want it, they should have it.
Well, you haven't made the motion. You got to be the first motion, John.
Did I miss the motion part? Sorry about that. I make a motion that we proceed with the installation of the ice machine at Crossroads.
I'll second that for the ladies as well.
Yes, sir. Certainly.
Would it be possible for the board to take some of these budget items that they want to spend money on, the wrought iron fence, the ice machine, and actually possibly in the main office show what the cost is going to be in advance of these meetings? Also to have something other than just the cost, what you think the maintenance is going to be to maintain it, if there's any insurance costs, to have these things all done. It's a part of running a business. Do we have those items or not?
I believe we have some of them, but I don't know right off the top of my head, but I don't disagree with you.
You know, I mean, it could be in a folder there that could be chained to the wall so none of us can take it and run off with it or something like that. Because I think it's very important for us to understand that Sun Lakes is not a cash cow, okay? And I know that we have certain things that go on, and we need to understand exactly why these costs are going to be. There's going to be a cost for the wrought iron fence. There's going to be a cost to maintain it. Are there any insurance implications or anything like that? Those are things that can be checked off and verified over time or whatever, but they should be, you know, something that's shown. This is a, you know, part of our budget that we have, and I don't see this happening for some time. Would it be possible to do that?
We'll certainly take it under advisement. We'll talk about it at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And who are you, sir?
My name is Paul Perkins. I live in District 18.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
And I forgot to mention the cost of a couple of the items. The cost for the ice machine was $3,600. And I suspect it's a very similar to the one outside the South Clubhouse and the one by the North Clubhouse. Pardon?
Are you sure? Or is it going to be some little thing that's not going to work?
We will certainly check that out, but I doubt if it won't work. It'll be maintained and it'll work. We know that we always have machines that we don't work, but it will be looked at and maintained, and we'll check into that particular part of it. Thank you.
And Doug, we might mention too that we went out to bid on this, and the same specifications were used as for the other ice machines. That's what you were looking for. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second for the ice machine at the Crossroads. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Now we have something that is dear to our heart. We'll play on words. I'm not much of a humor person, but anyway, go ahead. Do we have any report? We are from the EPAP? Good, thanks.
Good evening, I'm TJ Moody. I'm the director of EPAP, taking over from
TJ, can you hold just a second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Now it's your turn. No, now you're up, TJ. We just had to. It's one of those rules. You have to get the motion and the second before you can talk about it. I never quite understood that, but that's another story.
That's the way it works. Okay, I'm TJ Moody, the director of EPAP. I've taken over from Bob Ewert a year ago. And what we're requesting is 2 defibrillators at the cost of $1,399 per defibrillator. One will be kept at the Emergency Operations Center for the event of when we have an earthquake or some emergency event. The other one will be kept in the Patrol 1 vehicle at Allied Barton Supplies. We've already acquired an instructor that will give the class to all of the security personnel at no charge to Sun Lakes. They can be any place within Sun Lakes in 5 minutes. If somebody has a problem with cardiac arrest, the defibrillator needs to be used within 10 minutes. So we're well within a safety factor there. That's why we're asking for the 2 defibrillators. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you. Certainly, if you'd
Yes,
come
sir.
to the, I need you to come to the mic. Would you mind taking your hat off, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm relatively new to Sun Lakes, although we've owned the house for 3 years. My question is, the proposal says 2 additional. Considering I have heart condition, I'd like to know where the others are.
Okay. That's a great question.
That's a very valid question. Okay, we have one in the golf course pro shop and one at each of the 3 clubhouses. Now, there's a lot of folks here, probably half the people in here, that don't know that we have those. If you have a heart attack, you have a problem, you call 911. Then you call Sun Lake Security to advise them that fire and ambulance will be coming into your home. They can dispatch the patrol vehicle from Allied Barton, who, like I said, can be any place in Sun Lakes in less than 5 minutes. That's why we're asking for the 2 additional.
I just didn't know where the original ones were. Thank you.
Valid question.
Very good question.
Doug, I'll add to my motion that we take the low bidder at the cost of $3,000.24. Bonanza Supply.
3,000. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Any other comment from the audience? All right. We have a motion to accept the bid of $3,000.24 for the 2 defibrillators. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Okay, now we move on to the very exciting thing of the budget schedule. We have a budget schedule which basically starts March 21st, which is just around the corner, and we complete this on basically the last open meeting is August 26th, with many meetings in here that are open to the membership. There are some that are not, but boy, it's just a couple of them. We encourage all of you people, not only those that are here, but those that are watching on TV, to familiarize yourself with the schedule. Mark is handing them out right now, or a bunch of, oh, that's another, excuse me. Anyway, we have a schedule, and I'm not going to read it here because it's a lengthy schedule, but I encourage you to familiarize yourself with that schedule, and please attend. We want input. It seems like each year we get more input, more people attending, but still only a few. I think the most we had was 26, thank you, Dan, 26 people out of 6,600. Well, us, okay, so that's 31. It's a pretty poor percentage. It's very difficult, as Dan has alluded to a couple of times. It's disappointing to us that people will come out after the budget is all done complaining about the budget, but not a one of them attended the budget meetings to give their input. We encourage that, and we understand that not every comment can be acted upon, but we certainly try to take everything under consideration. So where is that going to be posted? Okay. It'll be on the website, and it'll be posted in every clubhouse. So please, if you're at all interested, get involved.
It's essentially the same as last. Different dates. Okay. Do they need the specific special code to access it on the website? No. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I'll move that we adopt the budget schedule.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of the budget schedule? Aye.
You going to ask for discussion from the audience?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you want to?
No. All in favor or against? Okay, 4-0. I figured that they would. Okay. The next item is F, and that subject is review and discuss and act upon surplus funds. Now, we have talked about this at length.
I'll tell you what, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to table this item, and I'm making that motion based on the fact that more information and additional study is needed, also based on the fact that there are different ramifications and possibilities.
We don't have 5 members.
Well, and we don't have 5 members here, so, but we still need a second.
I'll second it, or so we get something, we can talk about it a bit.
Okay. All right, go ahead, John.
Okay. Just to bring you up to date where we are in regards, everybody hear me all right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What you have received there is a copy of the article, my article, that will appear in the Sun Lakes Life coming out at the end of the month, and we thought it would be easier to talk about the surplus if you had something to follow in your hands. Where we are right now with regard to the surplus is that we finished the year with a surplus of approximately $654,000. I have to emphasize each year, of course, these are unaudited numbers, and they don't become official until we get the auditor's report sometime in late February or early March. A couple of comments into how we got there. I need some water. Thanks. We had a number of things that happened during 2015 that helped contribute to the surplus, of course. Big number, of course, was irrigation. We ended up the year with, thank you very much, we ended up the year something in $320,000 under our budget on water. We've spent close to $2 million over the last couple of years on irrigation updates, systems. We have changed some of our maintenance philosophies on the golf course, and we've had what the article says is a yeoman effort on the part of our maintenance and our golf course people. Nobody at the time the budget was put together anticipated that we would do as well as we have. At the end of the year, towards the end of the year, we were actually saving more money than the mandated 32%. So it was an outstanding job on the part of our people, certainly, and the association's, your investment over the past few years. On salary and related or benefit expenses, we started off with a number, I've forgotten the exact number, shortage of manpower, which of course meant that we were running under budget in that area. By the end of the year, we were, I think, within 2% of what we had budgeted for the year. The big area was benefits and related benefits costs, where our plan for 2015 was based on numbers that we had been given upon which to justify the budget, and which we did. As time worked out, as the year passed, we found that those numbers were on the high side, and we ended up coming in under benefits, on our benefits budget, by about approximately 15%. Well, we of course taken that into consideration in our 2016 budget. The third item, of course, is the sale of the home that the association owned on Wailea Beach Drive. We did not include that in the budget for 2015, and the reason we did not include it was that the association's ownership was being challenged. And so we did not put it in the budget. As it turned out, everything worked well, and we cleared almost $160,000. Let's see what else. And then, of course, as we've talked about every month, the rate of home sales this year has been beyond belief. We have never had a year where we've averaged almost 20 homes being sold every month. The net effect of that is that that brought in another $70,000 that we had not anticipated. So I think the point I'm trying to make, there were a number of kind of one-of-a-kind instances that happened during the year that contributed towards the fact that we ended up with the $654,000. And in addition, the people, of course, do work to build in the day-to-day savings that we hope we will achieve. But the big numbers certainly came from some unusual events. The board is discussing, of course, what do we do with the $654,000? Well, the first thing we have to understand is when the auditor gets in here, the first thing he will do will knock it down by $170,000. That's because that was money that the board, in effect, pulled forward from prior years in order to keep the monthly assessment down. The next and probably the largest item is the issue we have with the city on the water billing. The city claims that they have underbilled us for Lord knows how long. We say there's a limit, there's a 4-month limit on it, and it's more complicated than that, obviously. But that's basically the issue. The city has come through and said, hey, you guys owe us $250,000. We don't think we should be paying $250,000. And so we feel, though, that it is necessary that we set aside a reserve for not only that, but also for the legal costs. That certainly would be part of it if it progresses to that level. So there we're talking probably between $300,000 and $350,000. So with the $350 and the $170, that's $520 of the $654. Then the other significant issue is that several years ago, this association had a reserve percentage related to what we need, the 100%. It was at 83%. Right now we are at 76%. And there's certainly an opinion that we ought to be doing something to get our reserves percentage back to where we were. That certainly adds to the strength of the organization. So that is where we are at the moment.
Okay.
This afternoon at the executive session, one of the agenda items was the solar project. And naturally, when you talk about if we want to do the solar project again, when would we want to do it, and how is it funded, the use of surplus money came up. There were a couple of different opinions on what we should do with it and when we should do it and how to approach this. I got quite heated.
No argument there.
There's some of us that feel that we should concentrate on getting the reserves back up to a prior year figure. And there's some other opinions on what we should do with the surplus. And as a result of all the discussions, and I think it lasted for about an hour, hour and a half, we came to the conclusion that probably, because there's only 4 of us, because the president of the board is out of town, that we were not going to be able to come to a resolution. So given that, it's probably going to be best right now to table this. I think one of the things that's going to happen, not necessarily this year, but next year, is that all of you folks really, 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 and in case you don't think I'm serious, you really need to be involved in the budget process. And come to the budget meetings, get your neighbors involved in the budget meetings. We just approved the budget schedule, and it's going to be available. That conference room in the admin building will hold the board, the Finance Advisory Committee, and the staff that are appropriate to be there, plus about 26 to 30 other people. And so if we found out that we were going to have this many people that are here tonight at a budget meeting, we would get this room. We have done it before. I would love to see that, because we need to have everyone really and truly involved in the budget process. We can't have, in my opinion, we can't have a budget that we go through and agonize over for 3 or 4 months and then find out after we pass it and it's distributed to all the homeowners that we have this almost like sniping at us because you don't like what the result of the budget process was. I'll let it go at that.
Certainly.
My name's Pat Naylor. I've lived here forever. I have a question about perhaps tabling this issue until we have a new board. I believe that there seems to be a certain number of people who have their own issues and the way they want to run things, and I feel that we as a community should be allowed to vote first for the people who are going to make the decision on the 2017 budget and what to do with our surplus. Thank you.
Thank you. Good point. Barb? You can't hear.
Barbara Jesus. I have been here since 1994. Thank you for letting me speak. I must be confused because don't we have a deficit in the golf course operations? And don't we have a deficit in the restaurant?
Yes.
When I've heard those numbers are like $900,000 for the golf course and $500,000 for the restaurant, because I keep asking people who I think should know, and then I'm confused as to how does that translate into a surplus. So I was hoping somebody up there could explain that to me.
It's a surplus based upon the budget, and the budget, we budget for a deficit in those 2 areas.
So how does that get us any extra money? I mean, am I dense or what? I know somebody's like splitting it, and I'm going, a deficit is a deficit. You either have the money or you don't. So how do we get any money or any extra money to do anything with? I don't get that. When I ask people, well, some people say we have lots of money, and I go, where is it? And they say, it's in the reserves. No, that's all designated money. That's not extra money. That's not the capital money. It's not the operating money, which, you know, if you did the solar project, that would go away. So I'm still confused as to like, where's this extra surplus that everybody keeps talking about? And I'll let it go at that. Thank you. I just keep trying to learn about it.
If you look at the statement that John passed out, you'll see the HOA operations income and the HOA expense would generate a profit, if you will, rather than a surplus of about $1.3 to $1.2 million. If you look at the golf operations income and the golf operations expense, it would generate, and this is the actual year-to-date column, it would generate about $800,000 deficit. If you look at the golf operation versus the the food and beverage, you would see that it's about a $300,000, maybe $250,000 to $300,000 deficit. If you go over to the next column on the right-hand side and you see the plan year-to-date, you can see that on a year-to-date basis, the column that goes all the way out to the very right-hand side of the page will show you what the year-to-date variance is for the plan to the budget in any one of those categories. But the real key is when you look down at where it says variance surplus and it shows the $654,000. A lot of that was caused by all of the factors that John explained. My guess is about half of it, if you wanted to go back and calculate it, was generated by unanticipated savings on the golf course water. Okay, John takes that into account when you go down to the bottom third of the report, where it talks about the funds, and you'll see that $654,000 translated right there into homeowner equity. And if you look at all of those numbers along that line, you'll see that we have about $1.4 million in homeowners equity as a result of surpluses over the course of several years. A lot of it has been unanticipated, and well, all of it's been unanticipated because we budget to break even. We budget to have zero surplus and zero underrun at the end of every year. Don't use that word.
Okay.
My name is Jim Searcy. I am the chair of the Finance Advisory Committee. My first comment is that Kevin's motion to table under Robert's Rules of Order permits no discussion. It's an immediate vote. But since we seem to be past that, I would point out that the past practice for Sun Lakes has been the 2015 surplus would be added as income to the 2017 budget year. But this year it was much larger than has been the normal run of things here in Sun Lakes. The the Finance Advisory Committee recommended to the Board of Directors that effective March 1st, 2016, the dues increase be rescinded and be reduced back to 2015 with a portion of that budget surplus, and that the budget for the rest of 2016 be appropriately reduced. And the remainder, which is still quite substantial, then be used to be added to income for the 2017 budget.
What did they say to the recommendation, Jim?
We haven't addressed it.
I guess.
When did we get it? Yesterday?
Yeah, that's why we have, excuse me, Dennis, because we just have not had time. That's why we don't feel we are ready to make that decision, because we've got input and we need to address that.
Okay, my name is Dennis Plyman. This became obvious back when we were finalizing the budget back in October, that we were going to have a $700,000 surplus. And just to explain Barbara's question a little bit, the golf and the restaurant does not break even. They lose money from the money they take in for meals and the money they take in for golf. does not pay for the operation of the golf and the restaurant. But in your dues, there's about $48 a month that every homeowner pays that goes to the golf, okay? And when you add that up over the whole year, well, that makes the golf break even then. That's the goal, to make the golf break even. So this has been done. The restaurant is supported by your monthly dues of a little over $10 a month. And so at the end of the year, with the money that was received for meals, plus that the homeowners are contributing, it breaks even. So it's not a loss. It's a loss, kind of, but there's revenue that's coming in to make it break even, okay, from your monthly dues. Now, $1 of dues, does anybody know how much that generates for the association in a year?
Should we just do it all?
Pretty simple computation. $1 times 12 months times 3,327 houses, residents, is $40,000. It's $39,970. So $1 of dues is $40,000. So our dues were increased $9 times the 40,000. That means in 2016 they thought they're going to spend $360,000 more than 2015. So anyway, we have a surplus of $654,000. If we would just rescind, as Jim mentioned, the $9 increase, that would be worth $360,000 of the $654,000. But there's still $300 and some thousand left. Now, all the things that John mentioned are, you know, all things, and you have to provide for all those things as you go along. But you don't just take a Lucky Strike extra that we had this year and say, well, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, we're going to have that. You got to provide for those things as they come along. So it's only fair to the people on fixed income, the people that will be moving the first part of the year, they'll never get their money back. So it's only fair to apply at least $360,000 of this huge $654,000. $654,000 divided by 3,327 houses means every homeowner has paid an extra $195 this year for in your dues from what was really required. So anyway, once again, the board has known this since October. Now we're going to delay it for another bunch of months. It's not right. It's just not right. It needs to be applied to the $9 increase to be fair to all the Sun Lakes residents, but specifically people on fixed income and people that are going to be moving, to keep this thing even. You can't provide ahead of time for all these things. The one other thing that I'm not involved in, but this water claim from the city. I mean, this is 1 meter. I don't know how many meters there are. Has the city proven that all the other meters are okay? Maybe they charge us too much. I do a schedule that
Dennis, you're off the subject here, please.
Well, our water's gone up $500,000 since 2010, and we can prove that with our expense of what we've paid. So if we don't have a skilled, qualified negotiator with the city, well, we're going to be in trouble. There's no reason we owe the city whatever they're talking about, $300,000 or whatever, because we're already paid $2 million more than, and that was basically to build the police building. So anyway, if anybody's got any questions about finances, why, I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
I'm Paul Perkins. I'm back again, I guess.
Can you get closer to the microphone, please?
I'm speaking.
There,
Okay. I noticed that in the budget itself, not to pick on you guys, but there was a line item note that said there was a $4 charge being increased for the dues that would be for landscaping and solar. That was in the budget that was sent out to our homes. I'm a little bit confused because, you know, that's a lot of money. We just heard that, you know, it's $40,000 times 4, $160,000 a year. I question what the board has the ability to purchase against a budget that's been approved, do you have limits that are set by the state, or do you have limits that are set by you? That, in other words, that you would now go down to the delegate assembly to get approval, and the delegate assembly would then go out and that type of thing? Because this last solar thing that we went through, the 2 open meetings that we had changed from one meeting to the next. Again, that's another reason for us to have what the bids are, to have some of the other things that you guys are voting on. Because, you know, if you're going to spend $140,000, $160,000 on solar, you can put solar up on these buildings here, I'm sure, and we wouldn't know anything about it until it happened.
The reason the board brought it to a vote was because it was beyond our capability to spend for the solar. That's why the vote was put out there, so that the entire community could vote on it. Now, as far as the district delegates, they are liaisons, if you will, to the rest of the community for each one of their districts. The district delegates don't tell the board what to do. The board is elected by the citizens of Sun Lakes, okay? So, and when we start looking at the dollar amounts in the budget from the standpoint of the $4, what I think you're talking about is part of the long-range planning that was into the programs for long-range planning as part of the 5-year plan that we put out 3-4 years ago. So again, everything's done according to, number 1, Davis-Sterling, number 2, Civil Code, and Civil Code trumps Davis-Sterling. So we do, the board operates underneath the legalities of the state of California and the rules and CC&Rs of Sun Lakes Homeowners Association.
Do you think that the CC&Rs need to be changed so that we understand exactly that there is a curb at what limits that you can take if you wanted to spend $160,000 at one whack?
No, the CC&Rs don't control that. It's controlled by it's controlled partially by the CC&Rs, but it's also controlled by the Davis-Sterling Act.
And what is that?
It's the state of California Davis-Sterling Act that controls all HOA associations in the state of California.
Don't get nasty. Just be really nice. What is there a percentage?
Yes. Let me.
Is it 5% of the budget?
Let me
5% of your operating budget.
Let me address it. It's 5% of the total budget.
Operating budget.
5% of the total budget.
We proposed a 1.5 million expenditure, which was in excess of the 5% of our operating budget.
So
that's why we had to. Let me just explain. Okay. That's why we had the vote. We had more than just 2 town halls. We had several. We put out flyers to explain it, and apparently we didn't do a good enough job to convince everyone that it was a good program. One of the things we're wrestling with right now is, should we ever do it again? If so, when? If so, how? And if so, how it's going to be funded. When we talked about the budget back in June, July, August, and September, we were in the situation where the City of Banning and the HOA, specifically the board, were talking about whether or not we were going to be able to hook up the Chromium-6 wells to the golf course irrigation system so that we could get the benefit of using non-potable water for irrigating the golf course. Prior to that, starting back in about the March, April, May timeframe, we turned off a lot of the sprinkler heads on the golf course to save water because we were under the 32% mandate from the state. At the time, Banning was very, very happy that we did that. The city was happy that we did that because if we save 32%, they can turn around to the state and say, look, our largest customer saved 32% of the water, and it helped them meet their goal. When we hooked up to the Chromium-6 wells, it got even better because now they can go in and claim additional reduction because all of that water is non-potable. Okay? We can claim that reduction as well. What it did for us was it gave us the flexibility to not have to be concerned about the turf conversion project that we had talked about early on in the May, June, and July timeframe, which was potentially going to be 2 or 3 times higher than what the solar project was going to be. So all of these things came into play at the same time. So there was nobody on the board or none of the board people sitting back saying, oh look, we're going to have this huge surplus, let's not do anything. We didn't know how big that surplus was going to be, and we didn't know when we were going to get hooked up with the city of Banning in terms of the water, and we didn't know if we'd be able to meet the 32% mandate on the reduction on the golf course. So what we did is we took the best information that we had available to us, and we passed a budget. And everybody here, and every citizen in Sun Lakes, was invited to come to those budget workshops. And like I said, and like Doug said earlier, the maximum number of people that we had in any workshop was 26, over and above the board, the staff, and the Finance Advisory Committee. So right now, we're sitting in a situation where we've got funds that are still available from a project that we didn't do, plus we're discussing the water bill with the city of Banning. So there's conflicting requirements. And we're in the process right now. We've got the recommendation from the Finance Advisory Committee. We're getting input from all you folks tonight, and we're taking it and we're processing it. We've got to sit down and decide how we're going to do what we need to do to keep this community as vibrant as it is.
I think another point that has to be added to that, too.
I guess the question I had was, don't you think you should set limits that are maybe below what the state law is? You're saying that you could approve $1 million indebtedness.
We can't. We can't. That's why we had the vote.
We had to take it to a vote to get the money approved.
What's the maximum amount that you guys can approve within the state?
5%
of the budget.
Of the operating budget.
And how much is the operating budget?
It's about $8 million. About $8 million.
8 million times 5?
Yeah.
Now,
Or that'd be $400,000.
And Mr. Perkins, one other thing that you have to look at is when we took this out and we advertised it and we had the town halls for the solar system, we could not get a quorum. We did not get a quorum from any one of the 23 districts.
I understand what happened. I was at both of your open meetings that you had here, the two, and what I saw was changing answers each time at the meeting. And it sounded like we were jumping into something without really being prepared.
That's why we are now taking it under advisement and going to spread it out and try to figure out what we did wrong, what we need to do, get more expert opinions, and come up with a new plan, or not a plan at all, one of the other ones. But we're not just stepping away from it. We know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people here in Sun Lakes who have expertise, a lot of additional people outside, and we'll get information from all of those people to see if it's worthwhile for us to continue.
One of the key elements that we decided to try to do it in 2016 was that the tax credits were going to expire at the end of December of 2016. And so we wanted to get it done early on in the year so that we could start reaping the savings from like July 1st on through the end of the year, which would give us about $75,000 for that year. It's about $150,000 was the projected savings for each year. We didn't get the vote. Obviously, we couldn't do it. But now we found out that the tax credits have been expanded, and it may be extended. It may be more beneficial for us to not work with the city of Banning and go with Edison instead. So we have options, and we have conflicting requirements, and we only have so much money. So Kevin and I became very, very close this afternoon. Very close to blows about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So rest assured that this is not something we're just going to go in and say, oh, let's do this, slam dunk vote on it, and go out and try to spend your money. No, we're not going to do that.
Thank you.
My name is Joe Firmino at 4881 Silverado Avenue. We heard a lot tonight. I think we were given lessons in budgeting and in investing and in water and on and on and on, which I don't think any of it really, when you sit down here, made sense. And I don't know that if all of us here tonight had been at every budget meeting Anything any one of us could have said or asked them to enact or add or subtract would have done anything to alter the 600 and some odd $1,000 surplus. It could very well have be a $600,000 deficit if the circumstances last year had been different. Budgeting is a guideline. It's not the law. It's not saying you've got to do this, this, and this, because you can't. You don't know what 100% your income is going to be, and you certainly don't know what 100% your expenses are going to be. So that has to do with budgeting. Now, I'd like to read something, and this is from the CC&Rs. It says at the end of each fiscal year of the association, the board may determine that all excess funds remaining in the operating fund over and above the amount used for the operation of the association's property may be returned to the members proportionately, number one. Number two, or may be retained by the association in the reserve fund, or used to reduce the following year's regular assessment. It appears to me those are three options that the Board of Directors has to handle any surplus funds from the preceding year. And it says that is to be determined by the board. I'm assuming as soon as the figures can be approved of or be factual at the end of December 31, 2015, which means beginning now. So, some of the ideas that have been proffered here, in my experience, in my reading this, and my reading the David Sterling Act and checking with the state, you cannot do with what some of the suggestions are with the funds. These seems to be the three options. Now we keep talking about the solar. The solar was voted down by our residents. Then let it die for a while. I realize solar is magnificent, but we have 3,327 homes, over 6,000 people in our community that said, we don't want you to spend that kind of money on solar because it doesn't seem like it's going to benefit us now. It will benefit our community for the future, and somebody spent a lot of money in the past for the benefit that we have here. Remember that. But however, it was turned down. So all I'm asking is that the Board of Directors legally find out what extent they can disperse or pay out or hold back or apply to next year and all of the other ideas that are coming up for the $670,000. It's our money. And at least the $9 increase voted on last year because we were going to need it this year. Now we don't need it. At least the $9 per month should be eliminated immediately beginning in February next month.
What happened in February?
Good evening. My name is Alan Jazzcar, 5977 Brookside. I'm here with my wife tonight. I just wanted to share a couple of things with everyone here. We've lived here 4 years, and the only problem I've ever had was with the way that with the solar project was handled. And I'll share something with you. We came out here in 1988 to initially look at homes in this area. And we liked what we saw out here. And my wife and I said, well, if we ever retire, we would come out and look at this place. Well, 4 years ago, we flew out from South Carolina to visit my daughter on her 40th birthday as a surprise visit. And our daughters missed us terribly, and we missed the grandkids. So we had decided to move back, so we gave that to them as a surprise. They were going to move back. We looked all over Riverside for a home, couldn't find anything. I said, hon, let's drive out to Sun Lakes. We drove into the gate, and it looked brand new. This development looked the same as it did when we saw it in 1989. And I said, I can't believe it. So I want to commend the board for the job that you all do. And I know how difficult it is for the board. Thank you.
Thank you. We've had a lot of input, and we're going to, like I said, we talked about it many different times today, not just once, but we worked around it and into it, and we still have a long ways to go on it, and we will get back as quickly as we can with a resolution as to how those funds are going to be utilized. And that's as much as we can do at this stage of the game. We just don't have enough information to make a finite decision tonight. And I apologize for that. It would be nice if I could just say, hey, here's what it is, but that isn't the way it is right now. So at this point in time, I believe I have a motion to, and a second, so to table. So all in favor? Aye. 4-0. Okay, moving on to something more important. Whew. Relay of Life, or Relay for Life. We've got a request to host the event here at Sun Lakes. In the past 3 years, I believe we've had that same Relay for Life. What they do is they have I don't know if it's a Riverside or where it is in the cities, but they come out here a week before that, and we have a Relay for Life here in Sun Lakes. And they walk around basically the same route as the golf cart parade at 4th of July. So,
Make a motion to approve the request.
a motion and a second to accept or approve. All in favor? Opposed? All right, 4-0. Okay, we have a request from the Restaurant and Lounge Advisory Committee to approve a Charity Week restaurant discount coupon, which I believe is this the first time?
No, second.
I thought we had done it in the past, at least 1 year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comment? Let me see if I can find it.
Can I read you what we have?
Here's Dennis, I think he's going to speak on it.
Says the Restaurant and Lounge Advisory Committee received a request from the Charity Week Committee to support their proposal for a discount coupon. The committee met with representatives of the Charity Week Committee to determine the guidelines for this coupon. Proposal has been approved by the Sun Lakes restaurant manager. Committee unanimously supports the Charity Week proposal. Signed, John Traband, Traband, Chairman.
Okay, if you remember last year, my name is Dennis Plyman again, and I am responsible for the area of the Charity Week with the raffle tickets. On the back of the raffle tickets was a coupon for a 15% off on Friday and Saturday night. So we did it, once again, this is what Richard is all for this, to generate some business and some return business too. So anyway, we did it last year, and I'm just processing it through for this year. It's the same thing, nothing different than last year, and everybody's for it that's involved in anything.
Including the director of the restaurant beverage operation.
Yeah, Richard, right.
Yeah.
I don't know what he just said.
Jeez. You're going to win, Tammy. Yeah.
Joe, is that gentleman in front of you?
A gentleman right there in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I thought you were going to run him over.
Yeah.
I'm John Traban, chairman of the Restaurant and Lounge Committee.
Okay.
Newly elected and inserted into this thing.
Put it closer to your,
Yes,
there you
certainly.
go, thank you.
This idea was from last year. It was only mildly modified to say that no, people didn't have to hold on to their tickets. The tickets would be honored, but they would bring them to the restaurant. It would generate business for the restaurant. Richard said that with the approval of the master board, he could go ahead with it. And that was why this was brought forward to you. It does have our unanimous endorsement.
Okay.
Any questions?
After me. When do we vote? No. We haven't voted yet. No. Just a motion.
The only comment I wanted to make, Mr. President, is that items like this particular one anyhow, have not been passed by the Charitable Trust Board of Directors. So whether it's a renewal of 1 year after the next year after the next year, I would think that all of the ramifications of Charity Week would have been considered by the trust first.
I agree to a certain degree, but I've been involved with both ends of that for many, many years, and I don't recollect the trust approving each venue that is involved with the Charity Week in the past. I mean, we've talked a lot about a variety of things, especially new things, but we've never had a vote on whether or not something should be continued. So that's my.
It says right in the letter, Joe, that the Charity Week Committee sent a request to the Restaurant Lounge Advisory Committee.
Two different committees. There's a charity trust.
I understand that.
And then the charity committee.
Everybody is in favor of Charity Week, the great good it does for the community in which we live, and the enhancement to the reputation of Sun Lake. However, the restaurant next year is projected to lose nearly $500,000. I suggest that if we approve this discount coupon, and I think it's a good idea, that it, however, be treated as a general expense of the association and not a reduction in revenue to the restaurant.
I guess I would have to comment that I don't see the cost of running the restaurant as a loss operation. When you come in here, you pay $236 last year, $200 this year, and you buy everything. It gives you a ticket to everything. We spend money on the restaurant to provide that amenity. We provide money to the golf course to provide that amenity, but you pay only one fee here. So I have a tough time saying we are losing money. We are not losing money. We're providing an amenity, and that's what it costs to provide that amenity.
Okay, no further comments. We have a motion to approve the discount coupon. I'll go.
Do we need to have the Charity Week Committee go back? Jesus. Do we need to have the Charity Week Committee go back to the trust? Well, that was my comment, that we've already received it, so, okay, thanks. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. I think it would be nice if we could actually take a look at that at the end of the process and see how those coupons were used, how many, and see if what it did. I don't know how, but
The Charity Week Committee can compile that data.
good point.
Thank you, Joe, for volunteering.
All right, the next item of business, which is recommendation from member to change the opening hours of the clubhouses. It appears that their current hours are, it's the opening, I believe, of the clubhouses. They want to change from 5:30 to something else, or what is it? From 5:30 to 5. Okay, there, I got it. We can't hear a word you're saying.
We haven't got a motion yet.
Nope, we don't have a motion. Well, walk up here, we'll get a motion.
How many people are
I'll
requesting
make a
this?
motion to deny.
I have a second? We have a motion and a second to deny, and here we've got discussion.
Okay, I'll be very quick here. I represent the North Clubhouse.
Microphone.
Sorry.
No problem.
I represent the North Clubhouse. The security people come around at 5:30, or they're told not to come before 5:30 to open the clubhouse and the fitness room. Now, some of us get up earlier than some of you others who are still sound asleep. We would like, there's nothing there to steal, by the way, except some chairs and tables. And people in Sun Lake seem to find a way to steal anything that's not nailed down. But in any case, what we're suggesting is that you leave it open for 24 hours a day. The security doesn't have to drive around to each of the clubhouses to unlock the doors. They don't have to send the guard from the guard shack to walk over to open the doors at 5:30 and not a moment before, okay? So all we're asking is that you make life a little simpler for those of us who actually use the fitness room and have to sit around and wait for security to come open at 5:30. And why not leave it open for 24 hours a day?
That's not the agenda
There is
item.
nothing there to steal, folks.
That's not the agenda item. Doug, that's not the agenda item.
What is the agenda?
The
Agenda item is
the
just South Clubhouse to being open between 5 a.m. and 5:15. That's all this is about. It's not the North Clubhouse, the main clubhouse. It is
No.
one request.
It says opening hours of the clubhouse as.
Yes, it is. I was looking at the next page. North Clubhouse, it says.
Well, that's what I'm looking at.
Hmm.
Letter.
The only letter that I see is
Early
from
Ken
Phillips having to do with the South Clubhouse.
Yeah, but
then I also see all the other clubhouses. So we're talking about in this particular. Do we know, Charlie, what time the clubhouses,
Yeah,
main clubhouse, what time is that open?
It's on that first statement.
At 6.
Current
Okay, and that's the current information. Oh, there, the current operating hours below. Okay, so all it is the South Clubhouse currently opens at 5:30, and the request is to open that at either 5 or 5:15. None of the other clubhouses. It's a 15-minute or a half-hour change. Bev?
Thank you. I'm Beverly Agnew, District 15 delegate, and about 4 or 5 years ago, this came, it used to be the South Clubhouse didn't open till 6, and it became open at 5:15. Well, it's supposed to be 5:30, but the guard was opening it at 5:15, maybe even 5 o'clock, because he was on his rounds. The neighbors got a petition up, because that's the clubhouse that's closest to neighbors, not just District 15, but I think District 22 and a few others. They said during the winter months it didn't seem to make so much difference, but during the spring and summer months when we have wonderful weather, people would be coming at, even though it may not open until 5:30 or 5:20, that people would arrive at 5 o'clock to exercise, and they'd stand outside and they would talk, and then they'd close their doors with or lock their doors with the remote, which would go beep beep and boop boop and all that kind of stuff. And they said it was
Repeat that?
really uncomfortable to be awakened at that time with these unusual sounds. The main thing was they slammed doors and they thought it was wonderful to laugh. They talked and they laughed. And it was very disturbing to several of the neighbors around there at that time of the morning. So I believe that the South Clubhouse, I know some people like to use it and even shower and get ready and go to work from there, because we do have several in that area that work. But if they were only considerate, it wouldn't be an issue. But there's no consideration for the people that live around there. And it also gets, because they're there early, it gets their dogs barking. And, I mean, I could go on and on. The petition should be on file in the office. Okay?
Thank you.
Beverly forgot to mention the fact that they broke the doors down on occasion. Forgot to mention the fact that they stole light bulbs out of the shower. But those are other issues.
Okay, we've got, Bob is going to talk.
My name is, excuse me, my name is Bob Motz. I use that clubhouse in the south every morning. And I go down there and I don't find any outrageous noises. Matter of fact, there would be more noise outside if you're standing out waiting for the doors to open. If you're inside, nobody hears you. 5 o'clock is what Ken Phillips is asking to open up. Ken is still a working person. We still have working people who live here. He's a school teacher, and by the time he uses the pool in the morning and gets ready and goes to work, he's got enough time. And that's why he asked for the additional half hour. Generally, the same people come there every day, same people use the same equipment. Unfortunately, the South Clubhouse has one elliptical, and so we work in sessions where one guy's using it for a half an hour, next guy's using it for a half an hour. When you destroy that schedule, it kind of screws everybody up. And so that was the request of opening it up a half an hour early. It wasn't that somebody's stealing anything or anything like that, but we'd appreciate it if that's possible. It helps out some of the people who are still working and would like to use that fitness center in the morning, which we try to do. Thank you very much.
Any other comment? No. Okay. We have a motion to deny, I believe it is, and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Aye. 2-2. So it dies, therefore nothing happens? That's correct. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 2-2. Okay, every year we have a small number, 3-4 requests from charitable organizations that come to Sun Lakes asking for donations for their functions, whatever those functions might be. We put that into the budget, a small number for each year. At this point in time, we've got a request from the San Gregorio Memorial Hospital for a sponsor of the San Gregorio Memorial Hospital Perfect Partner Annual Dinner. What this amounts to, I believe it's $1,000? $1,250. Okay, and that basically that buys a table for 10 people to go to the activity that is being held on February 20th that Karen Clavelo talked about earlier.
I
have a motion?
I make a motion that we spend the money, the $1,250. We've done this for the last, I don't know how many years, and it seems an appropriate sort of function to spend some money on.
I'll second the motion and make the comment also, since Sun Lakes is the perfect partner this year, the Memorial Hospital, that it's probably a good idea.
Comments? I'm sorry, Linda, but that's what you have to do.
Barbara Jesus, 540 Pine Valley. I had this question the last time, but I didn't ask it. Who are the 10 people that get to go? Thank you.
Who are the 10 people?
How's that all determined?
I believe it.
We have, typically we start with the board and with their empty seats, then we will go around, bring aunts, uncles, whoever happens to be in the area, you know. No, we do a little bit more work out than that, but typically it has been the board in past years. It's a nice event,
yeah.
But depending whether you like events like that, I guess.
You could just stay over there, Barb.
Oh, that wasn't the answer I expected. But it would be nice if a homeowner could get to go. At least one setting for a homeowner, a couple. Might be a nice option.
I'm a homeowner.
Maybe you could have a yes, I know, absolutely. You're all qualified homeowners, but you're going to all get to go. I think you got to go last year if you're still on the board, but so just as a general offering to the community.
I won't be going representing the board, so there are 2 spots.
Just kind of a little perk for the homeowner might work.
Yeah. We all do not attend utilizing this particular endeavor, so there will be some available seats, and we will.
Some people view this as kind of a duty thing.
We will we'll take that under advisement, Barb. How's that sound? Okay, I don't know what else to say.
Barbara, would you head up the committee to solicit 10 attendees?
Okay.
Would you head up the committee to solicit 10 attendees?
I'm getting tired.
Alan Jaskar again. You know, you said there's 10 seats at the table, right? Well, could you raffle off 2 or 4 each year for the residents that they could buy those raffle tickets and perhaps win one of those 4 seats?
Yes, that's a good way. Yeah. But we'll figure something out this year, but that's for next year. That's a long term. That's a good idea.
I think you have to give a speech.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second to approve? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Item K, we're moving along. The Bingo Advisory Committee would like to donate $500 to the San Gregorio Hospital Behavioral Health Center. For those of you who aren't familiar with the operation of bingo, should I say, the bingo people have a fabulous operation going, and they give away a lot of money on a weekly basis, but they also have excess funds, and so therefore they are a couple times or 3 times a year they're trying to figure out a place to spend a little bit of those excess funds, and this is one of them. 3-4 months ago they gave $1,000 to the Walk for Life, or not the Walk for, the Wounded Warrior thing, yeah, and this is just another one of those, like I say, 3 or 4 times a year. And they right.
Yeah.
Right.
Bingo is controlled by Civil Code, State of California Civil Code, and they have to either give it all back in prizes to the players or to charity. So there's limits on what they can do. So they only have 2 options. So they're saying this charity this time for an X amount of money. Another charity, Wounded Warriors was another one, etc. So that's how that works.
And I have a motion and a second.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Okay. A lot of hospital activities today. I utilized them last Wednesday when my wife fell. Great place if you want to spend 4 hours in the ER. It's a wonderful spot. Okay, this is a request to act upon request from San Gregorio Memorial Hospital to conduct their auxiliary awards dinner here at Sun Lakes. And I believe that is on, okay,
132.
On April 25th at 11:30 in the morning. It's a Monday morning right here in the ballroom.
Well, it's closed. But that's
Well, it says here, request 11:30 a.m. for an awards luncheon. Yeah, I see the difference between lunch and dinner, but it says dinner here, and this says lunch at 10:30 or 11:30 right in the ballroom. This is a Monday. As we know, the restaurants are closed, so therefore we are open for special parties.
It's an opportunity to make some money, so I think that we ought to proceed with approving this and resolve the time issue as at a later date. Yeah.
That was a motion, right?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further comment? No further comment? All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Okay, now comes the good part. Wow. Let's see what we got. We've got the, oh, this isn't too bad. This document is made a part of and is attached here to the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Directors on January 21st, 2016. Following accounts have become delinquent and liens have been filed in accordance with the association's collection policy. The Board hereby instructs management to forward the following delinquent accounts to the association's collection attorney for further collection efforts. 00100-6045, 00101-6831, 00101-1140, 00100-8218, 00100-9563, and 00100-7112 FL. That was a handwritten one at the end. Do I?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Okay, now we got, let's see, whereas the Board of Directors has been informed by its delinquent assessment collection firm that the property securing the delinquent amounts owing on the following accounts have been foreclosed upon by a senior lien holder. 00100-2094, foreclosed 09/14/2015, $1,304.01. Whereas the delinquent accounts owing on the aforementioned accounts have been determined to be uncollectible, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby writes off the association's accounts receivable account in the amount of $1,304.01, which is the total amount owed on the above listed account by the property owner immediately prior to the foreclosure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Oh, go ahead, John.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the board meeting, except for comments. Okay. I have several. First one, Linda.
You want to give everyone that's going to leave a chance to leave first?
Yeah. Do I read these before she starts talking, or she just starts talking?
You read.
Do I read the subject matter? Yeah. Okay. I'll read it first, Linda. Where is the report published? Why isn't it circulated? Town hall meetings held for the input from residents in regards to the restaurant survey.
Okay, the restaurant survey was a very comprehensive and very interesting survey of the kitchen and the restaurant and the service people, and I happened to read it accidentally on Facebook, and it was so interesting, and they had marvelous suggestions for us, and I am so surprised that it hasn't been published, and I don't know if anyone else read it, except the people who remarked on Facebook. But is there a way for you to publish it, circulate it to the homeowners, and give us an opportunity, maybe in a town hall meeting, to comment on the suggestions that they made or other suggestions that can be made?
This is the end where we cannot comment back. The general manager will get back to you in regards to those, or the assistant.
Just tell them it's on the website.
But it is on the website.
It's on the website?
Has been for about a month.
No, that's okay. I'm just running along here. Ken Johnson, are you there? He's talking about the review some concerns about current amendments on the speed radar machine.
So my name's Ken Johnson. I live at 2429 Birdie Drive, the gateway to people speeding up the hill and down to heaven or to the promised land. We almost got hit the other day by somebody that wasn't watching when they went over the speed bump. So I do understand the importance of maybe trying to get people to change their behavior. We have posted limits of 25 and 20, and I wasn't quite sure how this amendment was vetted and how it was, the fees for the miles per hour were calculated. I know in being in government, which I came from, that there was a lot of time and effort put into red light signals. And so I did a little bit of my own research, and I came across that there's very limited number of communities in the whole United States. There's only 141 communities that offer speed. California does not have any laws or programs for speed enhancements. They're ASEs, automated system enforcement systems, have been around, but not very many of them. There is a speed enforcement camera operational procedures. It's 91 pages plus appendix, and it offers some insight into things like speed limit. And it talks inside of here. First off, it says that ASE is illegal because the machine issues a ticket, and that means that I am deprived of my right to face my accuser of a hearing. And it says if you want to answer that, the ASE system does not issue tickets. It records evidence, and a human reviewer must review each ASE citation to determine whether a violation took place. A human serves as the accuser at a hearing. So I found, okay, that's what was inside of what you put together. But in the back here, it talks about it's very important to do transparency. Make sure that you have proper controls with regard to how you measure, where you put the machines, are they on a street? And it says in here this enforcement speed threshold. It is a speed threshold is the lowest speed at which a violation will be recorded at a particular site. The enforcement speed threshold should be at the same that is used for traditional speed enforcement. It should be at the point of exceeding reasonable and prudent speeds. So in the case of normal highways, it's 11 miles per hour. So when, like going over 45, they'll give you 11. Inside of Oregon areas like Phoenix, that's been doing it since 2001, it says that certain jurisdictions that enforce school zones, which is 25, use a threshold of 6 miles per hour.
We're talking about public streets or private. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
My question, since I made my... You can't comment. I can't? I just have a question to clarify.
So it said in here that 6 miles an hour is used. So when I looked at the setting, it said 0 to 5, I'm going to get my ticket. So I hope that there's in place appropriate reports and processes to make sure it works right. Where I came from, there used to be a report we received to make sure everything fell in line. So I was just a little concerned about, have we done all the due diligence for this?
Thank you. Don't forget we have a 3-minute maximum on these, and so we may cut you off. But thank you. Well, we got several. Millie, still here? Wrought iron fence scheduled to be painted. I believe that's the outside fence you're talking about? Okay.
Yes, my name is Millie Hunter, and I live at 518 Northwood. And in the last 5 years, we've had those fences painted twice, and that last one was about 2 years ago. They rust within 6 to 12 months, and the paint peels off. And now we're going to spend another amount of money to repaint them when the wrought iron fencing in many areas is rusted. The paint has had so many coats on it, and the water hits it, so it has no chance to adhere for any length of time. So if I figure this out right within the last 5 years and what we're going to spend now, again this year, we're spending about $135,000 in 5 years to keep the paint on these fences. Now, that doesn't seem like that's very common sense to me. It seems like maybe we should be in the process of replacing the wrought iron fence with quality fencing, wrought iron again, and not keep spending this money for paint. That's my remarks for today. I think that we should be looking after our money and not spending it unwisely, and this is a very unwise expenditure, and now you've already let the contract for it to start in another month or so. So I think we should review this and put a stop to it right now, instead of, again, spending $45,577 for this time, and you multiply that back by three times in the last 5 years, you're looking at money that could have been put for a brand new fencing. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Perkins, solar and landscape.
I already did that.
Okay.
I have another one up there for the speed.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
In October of, in October of last year, I sent an email to the board, and I also followed up by writing a request with the same email being attached. In first part of January, I resent the email to the board again. The first one was sent on October the 9th. The last one was sent on January the 4th, dealing with the speed. And the questions I've asked are, was there a survey done for the need of this item? What measurements were taken, if any? What is the cost of this new trailer? What is the cost? Do we have a cost associated with these tribunals that you want to have? The HOA personnel that are going to have to review these pictures? There's a whole list of things, and I've never gotten an answer yet, so I'm kind of curious. What are we doing? There has to be a budget for this. So, you know, and by the way, the accuracy of the current system is plus or minus 1 mile at the lower limits. And you need to change the what you put down in the revised proposed rules is that there is not a U.S. traffic control company. It's a U.S. without the dots. I wouldn't put the name of the company that you purchased the item from in the rule, because I don't think it's needed, because when it dies and you go to another company, you have to change your rule again. Thank you.
Thank you. Barb?
Well, excuse me. Will I get an answer to this?
You
Email,
should.
or do I send it a third time?
Yes, you will get a response.
Okay, thank you. Barbara Jesus. This probably goes in conjunction with some of the things that Paul said or Millie said. And certainly since I recently retired, you know I'm trying to learn more about the association. And one of the things is the reserves. And I've been coming to these meetings since August. And I did finally get to look at the executive summary of the executive minutes. And there were a lot of reserve items in there. And I would certainly encourage the board to bring some of that into these meetings. One, it might be more interesting, and two, we might understand more about the reserve items and things that are going on. Like, I hadn't realized the North Clubhouse was going to be remodeled again, and the reserve study was done in like July or August, sometime earlier later in the year for 2015, and I just thought it might be good if we could give homeowners some input, or let them give input on some things that are going on, even if it is a reserve item. So I could certainly see some things I would have liked to give some input on before they get to the closed executive session and to the contract point where we're not going to hear some of the information. So for 2016, I'd like to encourage the board to talk more about some of those things that they can discuss that aren't relative to the executive session. Another example might be, and I sent an email to Charlie, we live on the 16th golf hole near the golf course, and we know we have that project going on, and we've been living with that gully for 15, 20 years, and I've got all the pictures to document it, but she says there was a consultant report. Well, listen, there's 10 of us homeowners that directly look at that mess every time it rains, and we would like to have some information on what the consultant recommended. Charlie indicated it wasn't approved yet, but maybe there's some way you could let some of us who are directly impacted by your decision there and the value of our lots see some of that information, so we too can give you input. Not spread rumors, but have some input ahead of time before the board makes a final decision. One other item, the rule, the garage rule that we modified a little bit. I still think that's a little generic because it says you can keep your garage door open when you're doing something in there. In use, I think is the exact word, which I think that's kind of generic because people could do something in there all day, use it like a den, it's in use. Do we want the garage doors open all day? Because someone would have something every hour that they're using their garage, and that makes them leave their garage doors open all day. So I would like to recommend that the board review that rule and maybe could be a little bit more specific than the term in use. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred Zachary. There he is. Okay.
My name is Fred Sakurai, and I would like to defer my 3 minutes in favor of dinner. I'm hungry.
Thank you, Fred. Jim Curry, there you are.
Jim Curry, I'm district delegate for District 16. This probably isn't quite the right venue for this problem, but I think because I have called the city a couple of times on it and I've received, we'll take it under advisement. Does that sound familiar? That maybe we can get the board here to maybe help. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the intersection of Sunset and Ramsey. The lights have been shut down there for, I think, roughly a year and a half. Right now, and for the last 6 months, the intersection itself has been no problem at all. There's not anything involved with the construction. The street is open all the way down to the 4 ramps on the expressway. Why aren't those lights in operation? In the last 2 months, I've had 2 people in my district alone had accidents there. People aren't stopping anymore. They're just going. Why in the world are those lights not in operation? If a city of Banning would like residents of Sun Lakes to come down to Banning for various things, make it easier. Make the lights operate, make it safer. Maybe there's a reason, but I think this should be looked into. It's just ridiculous. Get them in operation.
Thank you, Jim. That is the last one. Board comments? Kevin?
I'm hungry too and tired, but I've got to go here. I'm going to start with a statement as stupid is as stupid does, and that's what Forrest Gump says. It's Sunday, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My wife and I were playing on the main course, and we were playing hole number 15. And a man and woman came over the wall and started walking on playing towards the golfers, going against the golfers, playing towards them, if you will. And when I asked them to get off the golf course because it's illegal, it's against the CC&Rs, it's against the rules, they said, that's fine, no big deal. In fact, there was a man and a woman, I don't know if they were husband and wife. The man didn't say anything, the woman had a lot to say. She said, well, we've been doing this, we do this all the time, no big deal. I said, no, it is a big deal. I mean, it's a liability for the board. Somebody can get hit with a golf ball. We get windows broken all the time, people. And so I asked them to get off, and Missy, I don't know who Missy is, that's the only name she'd give. I said, where do you live, Missy? She says, oh, back there. I said, we've been doing this for 4 years, no problem. Told them about the liability, told them I was on the board. I kept on going, continued on down towards number 14. So I called the pro shop. I didn't call security, and called the pro shop. One of the pros came down, got on the golf course on number 14, and the people are still walking. And Missy is still doing the talking. And she said, where are your credentials, sir? And I won't go into all of what he had to say, but he says it's against the CC&Rs and so on and so forth. Again, stupid is as stupid does. The rules are there for a reason. And I guarantee you that Missy and whoever she was with is going to sue whoever's got the biggest pockets if they get hit with a golf ball. And I've had people killed on golf courses. I've taken a window out myself. I'm not that good. So I'm just telling you, people.
I know, I've seen them play.
I've seen you play. Bottom line is they call them rules or call them limits. Good ones, I believe, has this in common. They serve reasonable purposes. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. That's all I have to say. People, please be safe. Thanks.
Dan?
Been a very interesting day for us. We started at 1:30, and we've talked about basically money. Rest assured, we are trying to do the best that we can for you. That's all I have.
John? Okay, I just wanted to say that's the end of the evening. I want to thank all of you people, especially you people who stayed till the end. I know this is not always the best evening of your week. It's not necessarily the best evening of our week. But there are things that have to be done, and here we are. So please encourage everybody that you know to attend next month in your place. Thank you. And I take a motion? All in favor? Thank you.
Guys.